Larry is a photographer. I think I've shifted from being a camera owner now to being a photographer because the difference between somebody just get a gear, just click for the fun of it, but I've actually tried to dive deeper into issues photography, trying to pick out a niche in macro photography as well. So I can say I'm a photographer. I love the arts, performing artist, and most importantly, I'm a Kenyan. Yay. Yeah. Well, once upon a time, there was a colleague of mine from Alliance Française by the name of James Gishanga, and he was a photographer. I think he still is. And he always kept shooting, and then he showed me this picture of a very, a very tiny wasp. Tiny wasp, but blown up, and it's one of those detailed kind of shots. And I'm like, one day I want to be able to shoot like that. And from that day, I was bitten by the bug, literally speaking, and I decided that I'm going to get into photography, and particularly shoot insects to get out the detail, because it's a very different genre. Not everybody's doing it, and I just wanted to exploit it. And after a while, I stumbled upon the PAK group on Facebook, where I posted my first macro photography, and I thought that, wow, this is a great shot. And I mean, people just tore it apart, man. It was a hideous shot. In retrospect, when I think about it now, it was a pathetic shot. And people told me as much. In fact, on the group, somebody at once suggested that I should sell my camera and buy a bike. Well, I took that as a challenge and decided, listen, I'm going to get into this, I'm going to study this. And then somebody actually gave me some interesting criticism on the page as well, and told me that why don't you hook up with this and these people. They're the ones who shoot macro photography. They'll be able to take you through the ropes, teach you a couple of tricks, and I did. And that's how I bumped into Eric Gitonga, Abdul Mutuma, and Sabore, who are also macro photographers. And from then, I haven't looked back. I mean, I've just been shooting, training every single day, at least 4 hours a day shooting every day for a year, for me to be able to say at least I'm comfortable enough to post something. So the next time I actually posted a macro shot on the same forum, people were actually surprised that, wow, is this the same person who shot that other hideous shot previously? And I'm like, yeah, I decided to take it as a challenge, and yeah, the rest, as they say, is history. A typical day in macro photography starts by identifying the place that you want to go to for your shoot. Ideally, if you can find a quiet place, even better, because some insects tend to shy away from a lot of human contact, a lot of noise. So this is actually one of the places I love coming to shoot, because it's pretty quiet, and on certain weekdays it's difficult to find people here. When you're shooting macro, particularly insects, you need all the patience on earth. Otherwise, if you are one of those people who is always in a hurry, forget it. You'll never be able to get any insects. So when you're shooting macro, patience is the name of the game. When it comes to Mother's inspiration, I like the works of several local photographers, for macro particularly. I like the works of Abdul Mutuma. I've seen him grow, and I've seen what he can be able to do with the minimal gear. I like the works of Eric Gitonga as well. Sabore Noah is also another person who just inspires my macro shooting. And all of us, we aspire to one Thomas Sheehan, who is a Westerner, but he has the passion for art, and is a great photographer. He shoots, jumping spiders and make you see detail that you'd never thought possible. So I can actually say those are the people that I aspire to be like. When you go shooting, particularly like macro, you should be ready to get down and dirty. So I always advise people, don't dress in a suit. I mean, don't wear your favorite jeans, because when you're coming to shoot macro, you're going to get dirty. That's something that is assured. So I usually like just coming with my side pocket pants, because with the side pocket pants I can actually stuff my lenses on the side and move from shot to shot easier. And at times I actually even carry gumboots depending on the season. If it's a rainy season, then you carry gumboots, because you never know. You might just need to go and get that shot from the lake. Nothing should stop you from getting that shot. Yeah. So now I've switched to this other bigger flash diffuser, because I need a bit more light. I mean, seeing as we are shooting undercast under the trees. That is the frustration of shooting macro. You know, you set yourself properly before you click. God. That's the other thing about shooting when it's very hot like this. You'll find that most insects are a bit agitated, or they're looking for food, so they're moving around a lot. That's why shooting early morning is a good idea, when they still have dew on their wings, so they're less active, almost flightless. Almost everybody is shooting landscapes. Not very many people are shooting. Insects and doing macro photography. So I feel it's like a new domain that is, not exploited that much. And I also have developed a lot of interest in getting detail. When it comes to shooting insects, I want to get the detail. If you look at like an insect, look at the eye. Give people something that they don't see every day. And for me, that is the main reason I shoot insects. But then again, you come to discover the importance of insects to the environment. Insects contribute a lot to the environment and keeping the ecosystems moving. I think this is a golden orb spider. If you look at the tail part, it's a bit golden, I think so. I have to verify. And that's one other thing that interests me in shooting macro, is that when I started, spiders were just spiders. All of them just look the same, and ever since I started shooting macro, I grew the interest of finding out what spider is what. And slowly I've been looking at websites, going on the internet to find out the species, getting the differences, which ones are poisonous, which ones are not. So as opposed to back in the days when I used to see a spider and then you just swat it immediately with your slippers. Nowadays, you shoot it first before you put it back in nature. Don't even swat it, let it go. But there was one time I was shooting at the National Museum and I was hunting this dragonfly. So I saw this dragonfly, it had dressed it properly, and I was getting closer and closer to the dragonfly. And what I didn't know is that there was actually a snake nearby also hunting the same dragonfly. So I went to click and then the dragonfly took off. Then I see some movement to my left. I look like this. It was a green snake. That's all I can remember. And it's just staring at me. I was so scared. That was my first encounter with the snake, and I couldn't move. But then I'm like, I really need to get this shot. So I kept clicking, and then I took off. I didn't care whether it was a good shot or not. I just knew I had to bank something before I disappeared. And that shot actually got me a nomination during the 2015 awards, photography awards. And I think also what got people is the story behind it. But I love that shot. I love that shot. It has a story behind it, so it's very rare to find a subject that stays still for this long. So you take advantage and shoot as many times as you want. I can decide to put colorful flowers to create that interesting background, just to bring some contrast to the shot. But then when you do this, it means you're actually using one arm, and you really have to be still, which is quite a task when you're shooting macro. But one thing you'll figure for macro is the wind is your enemy. Any slight movement, you're out of focus, you have to do it again. When you want to shoot macro photography, particularly insects, it's good to know the habits of your subjects. It's just like if you want to shoot a model, you have to look at them and then figure out, does she need makeup, what kind of clothes fit her style. The same thing. I mean, this is just a model, but one who doesn't sign a release form. Well, I started off with the macro photography, but that's not the only genre. I want to diversify into other genres. I want to get into a bit more creative work, develop concepts, get into composites, and doing sports photography as well. I'm very keen on sports photography. I'm an ardent sports fan, particularly rugby. So I want to get into sports photography, like, you know, heavy. The same amount of time I give macro photography, I want to dedicate some time also to sports photography. But also get into, you know, like wildlife photography, and that's something also I'm very keen on. Matters environment. They're very close to my heart, so these are areas I also want to exploit. One of the most interesting places, by the way, to go and shoot, apart from the Amazon, is Australia. But I need to develop some Dutch courage before I go to Australia, man. That place is just scary. Everything in Australia wants to kill you. What next for Larry? Well, I think I'm going to win Photographer of the Year 2017. That's that's my challenge for the next photography awards. But I also want to diversify a bit my portfolio, get into studio more, try and do a bit of fashion shoots, try and learn lighting techniques, and that is what is next for me. Taking it one step at a time, but eventually I hope to get there.